Your dog appears to be perfectly composed and tranquil as you reach for your car keys. They might simply be sitting there, perhaps offering a slight rhythmic wag of their tail. However, beneath that calm exterior, their internal physiology tells a much more distressing story. Their cortisol levels are already surging, spiking to 3 times higher than their normal baseline. Every single departure you make is not just a routine event for them, but is actually perceived as a full-blown crisis moment within their mind. Furthermore, the specific manner in which most people choose to leave their homes is likely exacerbating this internal turmoil rather than soothing it. The countdown that you have likely never even noticed is the first major factor. Most experienced dog owners believe they are being incredibly subtle and discreet when they begin their preparations to head out the door. However, researchers at the University of Lincoln have uncovered a disturbing reality. Dogs actually begin their physiological anxiety response up to 20 minutes before a human ever physically walks out of the house. Your specific morning routine establishes what professional animal behaviorists describe as an auditory countdown. This includes the distinct sound of the coffee maker finishing its brewing cycle, or the subtle way your footsteps change when you transition from wearing soft slippers to hard-soled shoes. A study published in the Journal of Applied Animal Behavior Science revealed that dogs possess the cognitive ability to distinguish between 17 different pre-departure sounds within the average household. Yes, 17 distinct triggers. Among these, the sound of keys creates the most significant psychological problem. When researchers meticulously measured the salivary cortisol levels in dogs, they discovered that the mere sound of keys alone triggered a staggering 68% spike in stress markers. Crucially, this happened while the dogs had not even been left alone yet. Many owners inadvertently train their dogs to enter a state of panic through what appears to be genuine kindness. That last-minute belly rub or a quick, energetic game of fetch right before heading out the door actually floods the dog's biological system with high arousal chemicals at the exact moment before they experience abandonment. Research conducted by Dr. Patricia McConnell demonstrates that this elevated play arousal, when immediately followed by sudden isolation, creates a phenomenon she calls emotional whiplash. This is the neurological equivalent of slamming on the brakes at full speed. There is also another layer to this countdown that involves the detection of scent molecules. The goodbye that feels like an act of grief is the second critical element. You might bend down, look your dog directly in the eyes, and offer comforting words like, "Be a good boy, I'll be back soon, I love you." To a human, this feels natural and perhaps even necessary for closure. However, veterinary behaviorists have discovered that these emotional goodbyes actually activate the exact same regions in a dog's brain that are responsible for processing grief. Your dog's brain literally interprets your emotional farewell as a grief-stricken event every single time it occurs. Those sweet words and extra physical pats create what researchers term departure distress priming. The emotional energy you project signals to the dog that something terrible is about to happen. Dogs who are subjected to these emotional goodbyes exhibit 40% more destructive behavior within the very first hour of being alone. Meanwhile, dogs whose owners simply walk out the door without any ceremony or acknowledgement barely register the event as significant at all. Their heart rates remain stable, their cortisol levels stay at baseline, and the departure becomes just another routine movement through space rather than an emotional catastrophe. The 5 minutes before you leave can change everything. A dedicated team at Tufts University studied a specific technique they called grounding touch, and the results of this study challenge almost all conventional advice regarding separation anxiety. This specific technique, which successfully reduced panic behaviors by 73% in their clinical trials, works in a very particular way. Approximately 5 minutes before you are scheduled to leave, you should place your hand firmly and steadily on your dog's chest or shoulder. This is not a patting motion and involves no movement. It is simply steady, even pressure maintained for about 30 seconds. During this time, there should be no talking and no eye contact, just that still, grounding pressure. This specific type of touch activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest response that acts as the direct opposite to the fight or flight response. It literally functions to slow their heart rate and decrease the production of cortisol. However, for this to be effective, you must remain completely calm yourself. Dogs are capable of detecting minute changes in human heart rates through chemosignals. Any anxiety you are feeling will transfer directly through that touch. For dogs that are particularly sensitive to touch, there is an alternative method. Place your hand lightly over their paw, not holding it, but just covering it, for the same 30-second duration. This activates proprioceptive feedback that helps the dog feel physically grounded. The 5-minute timing is crucial because it hits a neurological sweet spot where the calming effect persists through your actual exit without becoming another link in the anxiety chain. Why grabbing the mail requires a different set of rules is the fourth point to consider. Your dog's internal stress response differs completely depending on whether it is a 5-minute departure or an 8-hour workday. Using the wrong ritual for the wrong length of absence can make the situation significantly worse. Researchers monitoring heart rate variability discovered something quite unexpected. For absences lasting under 15 minutes, dogs who received absolutely no departure ritual showed the lowest levels of stress. In these cases, the owners simply walked out, no goodbyes, no special touches, and no interaction. The dogs barely registered that a departure had occurred. For these short absences, anything under 30 minutes, the most effective ritual is actually no ritual at all. You should make your departure invisible by walking out seamlessly while they are occupied with something else. Studies by Dr. Karen Overall show that in these scenarios, dogs don't even activate their separation response system. Their brains categorize the event as if you have simply gone into another room. Long absences, however, require a completely different method of handling. For any absence lasting over 2 hours, dogs benefit from what behaviorists call predictable pre-departure sequencing. This involves performing the exact same series of calm actions every single time. The same identical grounding touch in the same spot, the same neutral phrase spoken in the same tone, and the same 30-second pause before finally opening the door. But remember, this structured approach only works effectively for long absences. The critical first 15 seconds after you leave are paramount. After you close the door behind you, a specific window of time determines whether your dog will spiral into a panic or settle down quietly. Hidden camera studies have revealed that dogs make a critical decision in the first 15 seconds after the door closes. The trigger for this decision comes from what happened in the 30 seconds immediately preceding the exit. Dogs whose owners paused and stood perfectly still for 30 seconds before leaving were 60% more likely to settle down within that crucial 15-second window. During this pause, you are just standing there, perhaps checking your phone, creating zero interaction or stimulation. This pause allows their nervous system to downregulate from whatever mild arousal the departure preparations may have caused. When that expected interaction or rush doesn't come, the panic doesn't flood their system. Some owners try to rush out quickly, thinking they are ripping off the Band-Aid, but these dogs actually showed the highest panic scores of all. The sudden absence following visible preparations creates a state of cognitive dissonance that their brains simply cannot process. However, the way they position themselves before you leave also reveals a great deal. Where your dog waits reveals everything about their state of mind. In the 10 minutes leading up to a typical departure time, dogs will position themselves in very revealing ways, and this positioning predicts exactly how they will handle your absence. Dogs who station themselves physically between you and the door show cortisol levels that are 85% higher than dogs positioned elsewhere. These dogs are attempting to prevent the inevitable departure. For them, every departure becomes a battle they are destined to lose, which reinforces a trauma response. Conversely, dogs who follow you from room to room in those final minutes are engaging in pre-grieving, trying to maximize contact before the separation occurs. The more they follow you before you leave, the worse their first hour alone tends to be, as they are actually amplifying their own panic response through this behavior. The calmest dogs are those who position themselves in what researchers call their safe zone, which is usually a bed or a favorite spot where they can see the door without physically blocking it. These dogs are already practicing the act of being alone while you are still physically present, effectively preparing their nervous system for the coming separation. Your scent essentially becomes a countdown clock for your dog. Every time you leave the house, you create what researchers call a scent degradation timeline. Your dog is able to track exactly how long you have been gone through the molecular decay of your scent. Dogs can detect scent molecules at concentrations as low as 1 part per trillion, meaning they are literally tracking the decay curve of your smell throughout the day. Studies at Barnard College found that dogs can estimate the duration of an absence within a 20-minute margin based solely on this scent degradation. The items you touch right before leaving will hold your scent the strongest, making the last thing you touch a temporal anchor. Some owners unknowingly create anxiety by touching the dog's favorite toy or bed right before leaving, which turns those comfort items into countdown clocks. The solution to this is somewhat counterintuitive. About 10 minutes before you depart, you should deliberately touch an item near the door, such as a specific mat or a cushion. This creates a scent bridge. Your strongest scent remains at the exit point, which makes your absence feel less absolute to the dog. Dogs with access to these scent bridges show 50% less vocalization in the first hour of being alone. For long absences, rotating unwashed clothing items can provide a consistent scent concentration that prevents the dog from triggering their time-tracking instincts. There is a specific pattern behind meltdown days. Every experienced dog parent is familiar with those days when their usually stable dog suddenly cannot handle being alone. Researchers have identified a pattern that predicts these crisis days with 80% accuracy. Meltdown days almost always follow what scientists call social surplus events. These are days characterized by unusually high levels of interaction, such as weekend gatherings, play dates, or days when you are working from home. The sharp contrast between high social contact and sudden isolation triggers a differential stress response. Essentially, the dog's brain is unable to regulate this dramatic shift in stimulation. Their dopamine and oxytocin levels crash much harder than usual, creating symptoms similar to withdrawal. The more intense the social day was, the worse the following day's separation anxiety will be. You can prevent these meltdowns by using a specific protocol. On high social days, you must build in micro-separations. This means closing a door between you and your dog for just 5 minutes, 3 times during the social day. These tiny breaks prevent their attachment system from becoming hyperactivated. But there is one specific behavior your dog performs when you are gone that would completely change how you see them. What hidden cameras have revealed might just be the key to solving separation anxiety forever. If this deep dive into the hidden world of your dog's emotions has changed the way you look at your morning routine, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. We are dedicated to uncovering the behavioral truths that often go unnoticed in our daily lives. Let's build a better, more peaceful future for our canine companions. The next chapter of our exploration into the animal mind will be opening very soon.